So in this week's video we're going to be talking about motorcycle seats. The things you sit on, the things you put your bum on, seats. So as you probably may think, well, there aren't really that many options I can go down. There are numerous different routes, styles, colours, options, all sorts when it comes down to modifying the way your bike looks, or if you're simply changing that standard seat that your bike comes with. Now, as I've mentioned before in a lot of videos, the standard seats that come with motorbikes are usually two-seaters. You can fit a pillion passenger on the back. If you're going to go down this whole route of modifying your bike look, then a seat is definitely going to be something that you want to concentrate on. So like I said, there are a lot of styles out there. There are specific seats to fit specific frames. So if you've got like a Honda CX500 like I have, where you've got that wave at the back, that frame wave, you can get specific seats that mold themselves around that wave, so it makes your life a lot easier when it comes to building bikes. Of course, I haven't done that with my CX back here. I've gone the difficult and the expensive route of putting a completely different seat on there and getting rid of the shape, but we're not going to concentrate on that today. We can't cover every single model of every bike and everything like that. We're simply going to narrow it down to 5 styled seats that you can buy for your bike. And of course, the other thing you've got to be wary of is the width of your frame. Depending on what bike you're working on, if you've got a GS550 or if you're working on a 125 where the frame is narrower, you know, you've got all these things to consider. So bear that in mind when you do come to buying your seat. And of course, the other thing to think about is how easy it is to put your seat on the bike. Naturally, these seats are universal, so there's not going to be a sort of plug and play seat. You're going to have to do a bit of frame modification, a bit of drilling, a bit of welding. So again, another thing to think about when you're buying your seat. So seat number 1 is your classic cafe racer style, where you've got your cowl on the back and that's separate to your foam padded seat section. So what you tend to do is shape the cowl at the back of your bike, spray that the same colour as the rest of your bike, so that kind of brings in the colour of the tank all the way to the back, pops up there, and then in between the two you've got a seat in either a complementary colour or contrasting colour, or whichever route you want to go down. This example I've got here is the one that I've used on the Suzuki Gs 550. So this is from caferacerwebshop.com, which are a good set of guys. They sell pretty much anything you want under the sun to do with cafe racers. Give the shop a visit, it's definitely worth it. You'll no doubt find what you need to find on this website here. But anyway, let's go back to this seat. As I said, it's made from ABS plastic, so this black plastic you've got here. Now these seats typically come in 2 standard colours. You've got brown and you've got black. Like I've done with the GS550, I've gone for a brown seat on that, and I've gone for a diamond stitch as well. So that's another thing you can think about is what kind of stitching do you want? Do you want straight stitch? Do you want diamond stitch? Do you want the stitch colour in a contrasting colour, or just plain black? All these kind of things to choose from. So again, that is up to you. This seat is probably, I'd say from experience, one of the easiest to put on. So the foam seat itself comes apart from the black ABS plastic. What you do is you drill and you fix your plastic bit first, and then underneath you'll find 2 holes, 2 slots underneath the plastic bit where you can then screw the foam padding on, and it all kind of pulls in together, so there's no real fiddly bits to do there. It's pretty straightforward. Now of course, another beauty with this is that being plastic at the back, you can actually shape it to any shape you want. So if you're using a straight hoop, it'll fit on that. If you're using a Brat style kick up at the back, you can simply cut the bottom of that off and shape it to whatever style you want. So what you'll find is sometimes your plastic cowl might be at a bit of a point at the back, but your hoop is more of a natural curve. Heat up the plastic, fix it to place, and then when it cools down, it'll cool in that exact shape that you want. So I'd highly recommend this seat. Seat number 2 that I've chosen is a similar one to that I've used on the CX500. Again, this is another seat from caferacerwebshop.com. It's the all-in-one seat and cowl, and this works well with a hoop at the back. Whether you are using a hoop at the back of your frame or whether your frame is simply cut off at the back and then you're letting your seat do the work for you, this is another great choice for you. The difference between this and the first one obviously is that the leather of your seat covers the entire thing, so you don't have to worry about spraying the back of your cowl or anything, especially if that's a cost implication for you. If you're getting a professional to spray the tank for you, and then there's an extra cost that incurs with spraying your cowl and your fenders and everything like that, this will hopefully eliminate that extra cost for you. Using the seat also puts more emphasis and more attention on the tank itself. So like we're doing with the CX500 here, what we want to do is put the majority of the emphasis on the frame itself, so the red frame when it'll be red, and also on the white tank. So ideally by using a single colour seat, for example a black seat in our case, So your eyes, all the attention goes straight to the areas that you want, and people kind of ignore the seat, and that's exactly what you want it to do in this case. You want it to be as subtle as possible. Again, talking about fixings on this from experience, fixing this seat is fairly simple. You've got a couple of little brackets going down, drill those into the frame sideways, make sure that your brackets are actually hidden inside the frame, so you got a neat little fixing. Drill holes in the side, weld a few nuts on, bolt them in, box your uncle, job done. So seat number 3, yeah, I know we're talking cafe racers, but heck, I've slipped in a Brat style seat in this. So as you probably know, as an avid cafe racer fan or an aspiring builder, you know that a cafe racer pretty much needs a cowl on the back. If it doesn't, then it kind of creeps into territory of being a Brat bike or even a Scrambler. But I honestly wouldn't worry too much about what defines a cafe racer. Bikes are meant to be built to the spec of what that person wants the bike to look like. If putting a Brat style seat on your bike is what you want to do, then by all means go for it. It's up to you to take ownership and to do whatever the heck you want to do. Sometimes you may want to carry a second passenger, and a Brat style seat is the only way to do it. So heck, why not? This seat here is one that I found on Amazon. Again, there are so many shops, different places you can find all your parts, and you don't necessarily have to pay a lot for it. Of course, you know, it goes to say that what you pay for something is typically what you get. But I thought I'd show sort of the budget end of seats as well that you can buy. So what the seat is going to do is naturally flatten out the back of your bike. So you're losing out that racer look in a way. Another thing you're losing out on is that sort of rear bum support. There's probably a proper word for it. We'll call it bum support from now on, where basically your backside fits snug in that seat. So like the two first cafe racer seats we saw, there's that little arch on the back just sort of keep you in place and stop you from sliding back. This obviously doesn't have that. In terms of fixing these seats, again, these are exactly the same as seat number 2 that you saw, where it's got brackets on the side, brackets fall down, drill holes in the side of your frame, all done, the seat is in. So we've mentioned cafe racer seats, we've mentioned Brat style seats. It's sort of a natural progression then to talk about a hybrid between the two. I know that Triumph has this kind of modification to its Throxton bikes, but there's a neat little kit available. So the seat itself, the seat kit in its entirety, so that's everything you see in this picture, so that's the cowl, the seat and the hoop at the back, can be found on eBay. That's where I found this one from, and it's a neat little idea. It's the best of both worlds, so if you want that cafe racer look, if you want that cowl at the back, then that's there. If you want to carry a pillion passenger, so you simply remove that cowl, that rear end, with a couple of bolts, and there you go, you've got a Brat style seat and you've got enough room to carry a second passenger. It's the perfect solution for owning one of these bikes. So as well as this kit that I found on eBay, I know that Cafe Racer web shop sells this seat. It's a different style seat, but it's the same concept. And the other nice thing I like with this seat as well is that the front of it can easily slide under the lip of your tank. The example that they're showing in this picture here, you've got your lips, that's a little bit higher than the seat there. The seat fits snugly underneath that, and that keeps those really nice lines of the tank. Again, that's a really nice feature. That's another thing you need to think about if you're doing your seat, is how it works with the rest of the bike. Number 5 on my list, if you're into cafe racers, or if you're an enthusiast, if you're aspiring to build a bike yourself, then unless you've been living in a cave or in the middle of a forest making toothpicks for a living, you'll definitely have heard of this company here. This is Cognito Moto. Now, these guys are pretty much gods when it comes to fabricating things for your bike. If you haven't been onto their website, if you haven't heard of these guys, check them out at cognitomoto.com, I think it is. They mill everything, so everything's CNC'd in their own factory, their own workshop. Now, one of the things they specialize in is specific seat cowls and seats for specific bikes. Now, as I mentioned at the very start of the video, there are these seats you can get that'll be a straightforward plug and play on your bike. It'll fit, you don't have to do much modifications, it's simply a seat that fits your bike. Last time I checked on the website, this seat in particular was sold out, which obviously goes to show how sought after they are, how many people actually buy their seats. So everything that they sell is handcrafted by them, so you know that the job you're going to get is going to be of the highest quality, highest grade. It's going to be sense checked by them, so you know that what you're going to get through the post is going to be 100% what you want it to be. But it's probably worth every penny if you do decide to buy one. So I think that this seat here might be for a Yamaha, but again, depending on what bike you have, go onto their website, check out what they do, what they supply, and you may be lucky, they may be there. So that's it, that is my top 5. There are so many seats out there, as I mentioned, it's hard to know what to put in the top 5, but this is my own personal choice of the 5 seats that I would choose for my bikes. So the best thing I can suggest any builder to do, or any aspiring builder, is go out there, have a look on Pinterest, see what you like, go onto forums, ask people where a certain seat is from. You're bound to find the seat that's perfect for you. So have a look out there and enjoy your build. Coming up next week, I hope that we'll be progressing with the CX500. Also, hopefully I'll have the valve shims and the jets for the GS550, so that can progress as well. So as I always say, subscribe to the channel if you like the content, if you want to be kept up to date with both the bike builds. As well, if you want to show your support, check out the website at fullerboldindustries.com, and I'll see you next week.